Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, St. Leo 13, as we're preparing to get underway here for what will likely be a short but interesting race here at Spa-Francorchamps in the nation of Belgium. It will be a 13-car grid, so we'll see a short single round of qualifying in today's race. So we're only going to be seeing a single 18-minute round of qualifying. This means that in all practicality, considering a lap here is not quite 2 minutes, drivers are normally would be able to only get about 3 to 4 laps in. Here, you're pretty much locked into only 3 flying laps. Just due to how large this track is, the tires will start to fall off if you try to go more than 1 lap. So ideally, you'll just want to significantly under fuel and then just try to go out and bang out single laps as quickly as possible. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. Well, I got kicked. Come on, game. Don't do this. Come on. Load me into the circuit game. I do want to apologize for this. Those of you who are watching the broadcast, this is a very unexpected development. Here we are. Alright, already onto the circuit, and look at this. Higgs Boston, he is serving a qualifying ban, so he will not be able to start any better than 13th. But of our 12 drivers, almost all of them on track right off the get-go. This is Boothie as we watch him go around turn 1. Imperium is still in pit lane, as is Zola. This is XXX Bucks XXX as he's making his way down to the no-name corner. Here's Mantic Meerkat, who's now beginning his lap. Again, we're anticipating this weekend that the McLarens are likely going to be about a second faster than the rest of the grid today. Big element of their strategy has been extreme straight line speed, enough so they can make up what they normally have in the corners, and Boothie has had an accident at the end of the back straightaway. And this is going to definitely hamper his ability to move forward. Again, only single round of qualifying, so just get a lap. So it's not like you can just get a lap in and you're automatically locked into the next round like what we've normally seen be the case for XRLX3. This has very much been a situation where you need to get out there, you need to go out and set proper fast laps as soon as you possibly can. Coming to the line, this is Galminator, and he'll be the first driver to set a time that everyone else will be chasing in that Alpine machine. He's not really utilized the ERS at all this lap, so he will obviously has the ability to set a much faster time, and he aborts. So that puts the focus on the McLarens. Herbago and Meerkat likely to lock out the front row 1-2 at the top of the sheets here. DRS pops open. Herbago 144.249. And Meerkat, his teammate, will cross 145.342. Now he starts seeing the Alfa Romeos come across. That's XRL Dave. He comes out of the final corner, pops up in the ERS, and he'll set 147.058. There's Boothie behind. He'll, despite that accident, will set 217.683. Plastic Love, who had that amazing podium run last week and also had an amazing run back at Montreal. Montreal is a circuit a little bit like this, and Plastic Love, he sets a 46.195. Schumacher goes up and splits the McLarens with a 144.279, so he's only 300ths off of Herbago at the top of the sheets right now. Zola out on track. He's now beginning his flyer lap, and here's Eggity, involved in some controversy last weekend. He's coming out of the final corner, and down to the start-finish line, 149.367, so the slowest of everyone we've seen thus far. Here comes Books through the final chicane now. And behind him will be XRL Flavor. Galminator on an outlap, already set up for another flyer. This could work out well for Galminator because the track should be clear ahead of him. Books sets a 47.410, Flavor 46.318. And Zola in the middle of his lap right now. Galminator running right now behind Eggity on the circuit in his outlap. Alpine around, and that is Boothie, who has spun right in the middle of the racing line. And I think he's beached the car. Yeah, Boothie has beached his car. So he is forced to reset the track. Normally that would be a penalty, but in the situation where the car cannot be recovered, you are allowed to reset your car once. And Galminator now comes around, goes flying to downhill right-handers that Boothie was sideways at. So while one Alpine is struggling, the other one is setting up for a flyer lap here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and ride on board silently with Galminator for a flying lap here around Spa-Francorchamps, so you get an idea of what it's like to run here in X3 at Spa. To the line. Here we go. And Galminator jumps up to third with a 144.980. So one of 3 drivers in the 44s. And frankly, from what I saw right on board with Galminator at the end of Sector 2, he dropped a bit of time. I think he could very easily get into the 144.5s, if not faster. This lap will likely be a cooldown lap, though. No, apparently he's still in it. He's still pushing. At least by the way that it looks like when I see his ERS usage. Is he even faster in Sector 1 this time? No, he's down by nearly a full second, so this will definitely go down as a cooldown lap now. Imperium now begins his lap, and Zola was in the middle of a lap earlier, aborted. Now he's going to try again. Boothie has had an accident. We're going to try and get him into the party, hear what happened from his perspective. Imperium sets a 30.9 at the end of the back straightaway. Alright, and coming in the party right now is XRL Boothie. Boothie, go ahead, include your audio. Big accident in the Al Rouge Redillion complex. What happened there? Alright, rough accident. You've not been able to put a proper lap together. Do you think you can survive to the end of the race, though? Alright, well, thanks for jumping in and being honest with us. Hopefully, if we get to talk to you again, it's at the end of the race rather than in the middle of it. Alright. Well, that's the word from XRL Boothie. Looks like he's going to be relegated to a 12th place starting position in today's race. Imperium SG coming around out of the final chicane, and at the line he'll sell 148.722. That is the slowest of everyone who has set a proper time thus far. And now here comes Zola. Third in the championship fight and slowly slipping out of it. He needs some major bad luck to befall both Herbago and Schumacher. And he also needs Meerkat to start missing races so that way Meerkat doesn't show up and overtake him in the points as well. Looked like he would be a surefire lockout for the championship this year, but that has not been the case with Herbago's presence. Mind you, Herbago missed a lot of races in the early part of the season, but every single race Herbago has started this year outside of Baku, he has gone on to take victory at. And Schumacher goes to the top of the 43.979. Can Herbago go even faster? Right now, it looks like Herbago's been towing Meerkat around the circuit, and Meerkat's invalidated. So Herbago needs to see if he can go even faster, because Schumacher is in the 43s now. So that's a half a second gap now, well, roughly half a second, closer to 45 hundredths, between Schumacher and Herbago at the top of the sheets. Meerkat's fallen way off, so he's definitely not going to be getting a tow this time. Herbago's down at the end of Sector 1, but he still has time. He can make it back up. Oh, and he's around, and he spins! Oh, wow! Did not see that coming. Zola coming down. He is set at 45.205. That's good enough to set him fourth. So Meerkat, the number 2 in the McLaren camp, has kind of been pushed down the order just a bit. This is Egedy. He is down by 0.2 this lap, but he has set 46.358. We're still waiting to see if Books can improve or not. At the line, is he up? Yes, he sets a 45.781. That's good enough for 6th at the moment in these final 4.5 minutes. That's extra that is Schumacher bringing his car down into pit lane. Meerkat low on fuel, so this lap will not go down because he won't be able to get back around the circuit. Herbago's still absolutely pounding it out around the track right now. But he will bring it into the pits. So the track not completely quiet because Books is still out on circuit, as is Plastic Love. Love has just begun an out lap, and Books is on a cooldown lap right now. So XRL Dave now also on an out lap at the moment, and Eggity in the middle of a lap. Wow, really close there. You can see how much that car is leaning on the downhill runs. That right rear tire right on the outside curb. But it looks like he's keeping it together for the moment. Up by not quite, up by about an eighth of a second right now. That would be enough to move him ahead of Flavor on the track and might put him up there with Plastic Love. Now you can see an entire host of cars rushing out into the circuit now to try and help out. Interesting enough, Eggity is trying to do this after running extra laps on his fuel and tires. So he was overloaded his first lap. Now he's a lot lighter. And there you are, 46.203. That does put him ahead of Flavor. So Meerkat leads the party right now, but it looks like he might pull over. And yes, that will let Zola pass. So Zola is going to try and move up into third over Galminator. And Herbago, this could work out well for him because that will be his teammate Mantic Meerkat ahead, trying to give him a tow. In the same vein, Schumacher may be able to get a tow down the front stretch and back stretch from Flavor. It'd be a bold strategy because that means you'll have less air on the nose of the car going into the chicane. No, Flavor moves aside, so Schumacher now will have clear track, but Herbago will be committing, it looks like, to trying to get air off of his teammate, potentially. Thing is, he's holding back a lot, and that's bringing Schumacher flying up behind him. This might have gone bad for the Ferrari camp. Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, Schumacher is going and Herbago is not, and Schumacher blitzed by in the grass so that way he could make the corner and not hit him. So now, the McLaren of Herbago will have to deal with aero wake in the form of Schumacher, his championship rival. Meerkat is out flying, and Schumacher pulls aside. Did Schumacher hit the inside wall there? Schumacher may have hit the inside wall. Yes, Schumacher has compromised his lap. He's not going to be able to go faster. So Herbago needs to make this work. This is his only chance. It's clean track ahead. So Schumacher compromises lap. Herbago is down in Sector 1. What about Meerkat? Meerkat could upset this and get onto the front row and knock his teammate off. Herbago desperately wants to improve his time. Looking at Meerkat now as he's come to the lowest section of the track, the bottom of the circuit here. Fifth gear corners. He's 3/10 up at the moment. That would be great. That would get him into the 44s. That might move him ahead of Galminator if he can maintain this advantage. What in the devil is going on here? Schumacher's invalidated his lap. Herbago's invalidated his lap. Neither of them are going to be able to improve, and they can't seem to get away from each other on the circuit. Here comes Meerkat. Can Meerkat knock Herbago off the front row? Or can he even get onto row 2 and knock Golminator down? No, he only has to settle for 4th. So he will be behind his McLaren teammate. And Flavor comes across the line, and Flavor moves well up the grid, improves by 9/10 to get a 6th place starting spot. And XRL Dave has a spin, so he will not improve. But a lot of controversy, I imagine, will go down in the Ferrari and the McLaren camp. The McLaren waiting a long time to get going. The Ferrari was already pounding it out in the final sector because he wanted to get to the line as quickly as possible. Schumacher had to veer onto the grass so that way he wouldn't hit the McLaren because the McLaren was right in the racing line. Because I don't think Herbago realized Schumacher was coming with that much speed. So Schumacher had to get by him as quickly as he can so he wouldn't lose the pace he had. Only for Schumacher to then compromise his lap in the first corner right at the start. And then Herbago had to get around, only for Herbago to end up compromising his own lap by himself in Sector 2, and the two of them just couldn't seem to get away from each other in Sector 2 or 3. And all of that means that at the top of the timesheets, it is now Schumacher SF7 in the Ferrari, the only driver to set a time in the 43s with a 43.797, and he will be sharing the front row with Herbago in the McLaren. So the wild card is going to be Higgs Boston with that qualifying penalty, with that qualifying ban. He will have to figure out a way to make his way up through the grid. Very small field today, though, only 13 starters. And we'll be gaining underway with this race nice and quickly here. Okay, so real quickly now, let's go ahead and update the point standings as they are at the moment. After a very insane and chaotic race last week at Hungaroring, there's not been a whole lot of outright moves, though, in the championship fight. Big thing, though, is that McLaren continues to solidify their hold on the Manufacturers' Championship. As we go ahead, 10th is AlphaTauri with 51 points, 9th is Mercedes with 64, 8th is Williams with 67, so Plastic Love did pull off that great podium finish, and that did move Williams up into 8th. 7th is Aston Martin with 81 points, 6th is Alpine with 83, 5th is Haas with 90. Right now, Haas is not anticipated to have any new drivers showing up for them, so it's likely they may fall through the grid a bit. 4th is Alfa Romeo with 91 points, 3rd is Red Bull with 157, 2nd is Ferrari with 267, and leading is McLaren with 284. In the Drivers' Championship, things look a little bit different, but in some ways the same. There's a tie for 16th between XRL Boothie and Imperium SG. They both have 10 points each. There's a tie for 14th between Mercedes AMG and Golminator. They both have 20 points each. Snake, who is in 13th, also has 20 points each. It's actually a third-way tie for 13th. I missed that. 12th is Friars with 24 points. 11th is Higgs Boston 97 with 32 points. 10th is Eggity 75 with 33 points. 9th is XRL Dave with 39. 8th is Plastic Love with 41. 7th is AK Herbie with 43. 6th is Coley Boy with 52. 5th is XRL Flavor with 69. Then we get to your championship contenders. Mantic Meerkat is 90 points out of the championship lead with 108 points. Third is XRL Zola with 149 points. That puts him 49 points out of the championship lead. Second is Herbago with 176 points. So he is right now 22 points out of the championship lead. And Schumacher SF7 is leading right now with 198 points on the top of the standings at the moment. So just staying by, waiting to get underway here. Real quickly as we look at the race director to try and get an idea as to what tire compound everyone's going to be starting on. It looks like the entire field, with the exception of XXX Books XXX, is going to be starting on the medium tires. Spa, very, very large track, and it's very, very heavy on tire wear. But I think the single stop strat will still be the ideal way to go, especially if we have any yellow flags. You'll be able to go ahead and preserve tire life just a little bit. Alright, so we're just waiting to get underway here. So we're just standing by. It will be a small 13-car field for today's event. Ferrari, McLaren, Alpine at the front of the grid here. Mantic Meerkat will be starting 4th. Zola in the Red Bull will be starting 5th. So all 4 engine manufacturers represented in the front 5 positions here. Galmanier has had some really impressive qualifying runs, but his ability to turn those qualifying runs into proper race finishes has been really lacking. I would really like to see him be able to properly turn that around. Alright, so we're in the final countdown. We'll have one formation lap, so drivers will go ahead and get plenty of time to warm their tires up. So cold tires should not be an issue on the start, considering just how simply massive this track is. And we will get a final idea as to what everyone's tire compound is going to be. Most interesting thing is going to be Higgs Boston, because Higgs starting in the back with literally no laps run under qualifying. And no, everyone's on mediums except for Books. I'm going to go ahead and say this. I say this all the time. I'm going to say it again. I really like Book's strategy here. Being on the hard tire compounds here gives him a significant possible advantage. It's not an automatic advantage, but it is a possible advantage. Because you are off strategy of everyone else. You don't have to worry about everyone else trying to come in and pit with you. You'll have a lot more laps, in theory, running in clean air as those tires are starting to fall off, which will help negate the negative impact of those tires. I think Books is on for a wonderful strat. Books, a veteran in the X3 series, contended for a championship a few years back, has fallen off a bit after just not being able to dedicate as much time to these games, but it's always great to see a veteran around here. I'm definitely going to say keep an eye on Books, simply because of this strat. Also, if there are any instances in the first lap or two here, drivers will likely go ahead and jump onto hard tires, try to stretch hards out as long as they can, and then throw on a set of softs near the end of the race. So anyone who gets involved in early accidents that require wing damage to be repaired, keep an eye on them. They may be going for fastest lap point, and Schumacher does not care at all. He is nearly half a sector ahead of the rest of the field. He just wants to get to the line as fast as possible. Herbago, on the other hand, very, very slow. Again, in real life, this would actually be a detriment to the Ferrari because his tires would come and completely cool down while he's staying on the grid, but the game has instituted an update that means that when you're sitting on the grid waiting for everyone else to gather up, well, it's not going to actually negatively hurt your tire heat. I don't know if I'm a fan of that update or not. I would ideally like it to be a little bit more realistic when it comes to that, but if you're going to make tire temperature such a big feature in the game, I would think that you should make it a big feature all the time. But in the interest of good racing, I can understand why it was done. I may not be a fan of it, but I'm not going to say it's the worst thing ever. Finally, we see Herbago coming up to the grid here, and he will lead the entire field with him. So we're going to ride on board with Zola on this race start by the looks of it, because we don't really have a good vantage point here, as all 13 drivers line up on the grid. And those disqualifications will be undone shortly here. All right, and here we go. You can see the lights. 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out, away we go here at Small Frogger Jones. And look at Zola immediately gonna make it 3 wide there for a 3rd position. And he's gonna commit to it, he's gonna get it. And Schumacher has had a crash right at the start. And Schumacher crashes out of the lead. And Herbago now leads, and he has Golminator behind him. And Schumacher has had a crash at the start. There may be wing damage. He's side by side with the McLaren going uphill. He keeps it together. Golminator running right there behind Herbago at the start, coming down to the line. From the back, Plastic Glove sandwiched between a pair of Ferraris. Oh, but this could end up being very bad. Books did not get a good start at all with those hard tires. He has fallen 8 seconds off the lead. Mantic Meerkat now looks to the inside of Golminator. He sends it on the Alpine, and already McLaren goes right back to 1-2 as if nothing went wrong. So now Golminator finds Schumacher right behind him. Schumacher commits to the move and actually gets by him in a corner. You're not supposed to be able to do that. You're not supposed to be able to overtake in the corners. But Golminator was slow enough that Schumacher just committed. So Schumacher has a lot of speed in Sector 2 at the moment. But a pole position has been thrown away, and now he has to figure out a way to get back by the 2 McLarens ahead. Plastic Glove is in 5th. He can see Golminator and the Alpine ahead of him. Golminator trying to close back in on Schumacher right now. There is no DRS yet. Oh, and Boothby has already crashed out in Sector 2. And Golminator runs right into the back of Schumacher. Schumacher's able to continue, but Plastic Glove runs right into the back of him. So Golminator dumps Schumacher into the chicane, and the the debris from that, coupled with Boothby's accident, mandates a yellow flag. So Golminator just completely didn't even bother. He just ran right into the back of the Ferrari. So despite a great run in qualifying, it has been a very bad first lap here, as we are now under the safety car, and drivers at the back making their pit stops: Plastic Glove, Zola, and Books. Alright. Coming back into the party now is Boothie. Boothie, make sure your audio is included this time. Yeah, is your audio included? Will you please include it? So under this full course safety car, this will work out well for basically everyone because all 12 drivers will all gather back up together now. But once again, McLarens are ahead of the Ferrari on track. And Gallminator, very aggressive on Schumacher. All right, and coming in the party now is Boothie. Boothie, go ahead and include your audio. Boothie, please include your audio.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but can you include your audio?
Yeah, I've done it.
All right, sweet. Accident there on the first lap in Sector 3. What happened?
I don't know, really. All I did was go around the corner and it decided I was going to go into a barrier instead. It was very peculiar. I'm not entirely sure why it did that. But, you know, it is what it is.
Well, a really, really incredible start to the race, though, at the front. What did that start look like from you back in the back of the grid?
I saw a big pile up and I thought I will avoid that. Apart from that, I didn't really see much else. I went past Dave. Span on the inside of the curb because I got on the curb like a dipshit. And then went round the next corner and it just threw me into a barrier. So, great times had to play ball.
Alright, well, shame to see you taken out like this, mate, but thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Hopefully next week is better for you.
Yeah, probably won't be. I don't like Holland. Bloody Dutch.
Alright, well, that is the word from XRL Boothie. Frustrating start to the day. Also coming in the party right now is XRL Shikari. Shikari, you have missed a interesting start. Schumacher got pole position, but ended up making contact, I believe, with Gallminator coming to the line, coming into turn 1. So Schumacher ended up dropping all the way back to 5th, and then in a single lap, he made himself all the way back up from 5th to 3rd. Gallminator did not take kindly to that, and he ran right into Schumacher in the final chicane just as the yellow flag came out.
Right.
Gallminator didn't take any damage from that, but Plastic Love, who was running right behind, did, and that cycled Plastic Love, who is honestly one of the fastest people on track right now. It cycled him to the back of the grid.
Oh, God.
And meanwhile at the front, it is McLaren 1-2 per usual.
Indeed. Same as always then. Usual stuff. I don't know why the safety car's out. I'm guessing it's safety car out.
Boothie had an accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boothie's accident happened, and then right after that, Plastic had ran right into Gallminator's car, and I believe the combined damage from both of those incidents warranted the yellow flag. Also, Books started on the hard tires, but had a really bad start, fell 8 seconds off, and lost his front wing. So under this yellow flag, he went ahead and jumped onto medium tires. But Higgs Boston, serving a qualifying ban, had moved up the grid quite a bit just off of everyone else's positions, but he went ahead and decided to come in later to throw on some hard tires. Okay. So now he is back down in 10th. Zola started in the 5th position, but kind of got held up and caught up in that giant lap 1, turn 1 mess. And because of that, he also had to pit, and he has also gone to the back of the grid. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should catch you up on.
Lovely. Well, sounds like it's been a very entertaining start, to say the least. But here we are. This is becoming a very usual situation with the two McLarens up ahead.
Yeah. And the big thing there is that McLaren, and I say this every week, you could take a shot every time I say this, and you would probably be just like an Irishman or a Slav. But I've got to be 100% honest, these McLarens figured out something when it came to setup at Baku. Yes, Herbago won the races he started before that point, but every single race that McLaren has entered except one since that point has been a victory because they have figured out a way to run extremely low wings and not have to worry about losing speed mid-corners. Now, with that in mind, they also typically like to run traction control, so that is helping them on the corner exit. But typically, when it comes to aerodynamics, that's more of an issue mid-corner and entering the corner. Aerodynamics isn't just something that's, oh, I can put the power down easily out of the corner. Aerodynamics means that you can brake a lot better and the car will be stable under braking going into the corner. It means that going through the corner, you don't have to grind on the wheel nearly as much to make it through there, and then obviously you can put the power down a lot better. So it's maybe easy to say, oh, it's traction control, this game, McLaren's the advantage. Well, for one, everyone's available to have TCS in XRL. XRL has no restrictions on driver assists, as we see a safety car about to pull in. Number two, though, is that aerodynamics is so important that if you have found a way to run with so much less aerodynamics, that means you could be in a fantastic position as long, and this is the key word, as long as you are not trapped up behind someone else. And that is the big problem that we may see here. The McLarens have spent so much time out in front. I am very hesitant about how well they would perform if they end up with a car ahead of them here. So Herbago is going to lead the field to the green flag, but it's going to be Mantic Meerkat who sets the pace of the field, because Meerkat says that he's working everything he can to the end of the season to keep the Ferraris behind and make sure that Herbago can win this title. So how aggressively does Meerkat keep Schumacher behind? And then there's Golminator, who's already tried to run to the back of Schumacher as well. What's he going to do at the start?
1 sec, has he overtaken Plastic under safe on the restart? I don't know. But we're underway once again.
Meerkat does a great job holding Schumacher off down through the start-finish line straight. He's still holding him off.
And that is Plastic. Andy Diggity getting into some shenanigans.
Shenanigans in the back of the field. Yeah, it's not going to work out well, but as they come down straight, Schumacher and Meerkat both laying on the ERS. Right now, Meerkat has a disadvantage with the ERS, though, at the moment. And Golminator is there, ready to strike. He is driving angry right now.
Yeah, and Zola's had a great little restart up to 9th.
Higgs Boston also has had a respectable restart. Yeah. He's moved up into 8th position.
But already the gap is over a second between the two McLarens.
Yeah, so Meerkat's doing everything he can to hold up Schumacher.
Yeah, it's imperative that he gets past as soon as possible to avoid this.
Other thing to consider is that Herbago says that he may have had a strategy miscue and the car may be overfueled in today's race. And Golminator has had a time penalty and he is now falling off significantly from the lead group. Is there wing damage to that car that we've not seen thus far? Because now here comes the number 2 Ferrari of XRL Flavor about to try and make a move on Golminator here. Also, Higgs Boston finally is going to get around Imperium. So despite her serving a qualifying ban and having damage early on, Boston is flying his way up through the grid right now. Imperium has fallen now behind Books as well. And Herbago has set the fastest lap of the day because Meerkat has backed up Schumacher by more than almost 2 full seconds in a single lap. So this is the entire thing. Yeah, this is it. Team orders are absolutely keen in XRLX3 right now. And don't get me wrong, Ferrari also has a respectable number 2 driver, but it kind of doesn't matter because Flavor doesn't have the pace to get up there and kind of mess around with the McLarens like the McLarens can mess around with the Ferraris. So it looks like team orders might end up being what decides not only this race, but the title as a whole. Because yes, Schumacher is way faster in Sector 2, but you can't pass here with how large these cars are unless it's in a DRS zone. So Meerkat can go ahead, he can run as slow as he wants, be as aggressively poor as he was in Sector 2, back the entire field up. His ideal strategy, I imagine, is to get Herbago far enough ahead so Herbago can go ahead, lock up an easy pit strategy. Basically, Meerkat wants to make this race boring.
Yeah, basically. And with the gap increasing all the time, it's looking less and less likely that we will see an overtake or a battle for the lead as well.
Schumacher laying on the ERS. Meerkat also is. Meerkat is less than half of his ERS. And Flavor has crashed out. And Flavor has had a massive accident. And that will be a full course yellow.
Oh, God. Right in the middle of the track as well. And
Yeah, this is
safety
it. And
car.
this is going to work out perfectly for everyone who's on those medium tires. Everyone will go ahead and pit. So Flavor crashed out, and this will massively hurt Ferrari's dwindling chances in the Manufacturers' Championship. So this means that it is now Zola who inherits the race lead, and coming into the party right now is XRL Flavor. Flavor, go ahead, include your audio. What happened out there?
Oh dear. I'm so disappointed. I just showed really good pace. I felt really confident after a great qualifying. Yeah, at dirty air, I think. I was behind Gominator. I was catching him going into the bend. Yeah, just lost it under that. I think it was dirty air. Yeah. Oh, so I feel so sorry, and I'm sorry for my teammate. Yeah. What can you say?
Yeah,
Wow.
well, this really is going to upend the entire race at this point.
Absolutely. I'm so bad. I feel so bad. I really do. I feel more bad for Ferrari and Leif, if I'm honest, Schumacher. To be honest, I really do. I feel like I've let him down there. Because it was a race I could have maybe got a podium. I got a podium yesterday in the Dev. Yeah, so it's just one of them, really, isn't it? Yeah, I feel like I've let him down a bit. Anyway, he won't say that, but yeah, it happens. I'll look back on it, and hopefully I can keep going for the end of the season and still pull some sort of points back if we can. But yeah, I'm disappointed. But I'm disappointed because I was showing really good pace, and it would have been a good race for me. There's no doubt. I should have just took.
All right.
Maybe I should have just took my time a little bit, a bit more. But yeah, hey.
Well, hopefully next week is a rebound for you then.
Yeah.
Shame to see you taken out like this. Hopefully things go better for you. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us, mate.
No, you're welcome, mate. Thank you. Good luck, everybody. Nice one, mate. Cheers.
All right, so as it stands now, this is going to get really interesting because Dave and Gallminator are at the front of the field with worn medium tires. Now, Gallminator has a time penalty, so for him, he needs to run as fast as he can in clean air and then go ahead and make a stop. If he does anything except trying to run in clean air, then he's not really going to have much of a chance of doing anything today to bring home a good result. Gallminator has not finished very many of the races he started. He's had lots of good qualifying runs, but his ability to finish races has been questionable. Now, I'm not saying a wins in his lap because he has a time penalty, but as we see Dave and Eggity going ahead and making stops, so Dave wants to get off these tires. But Gallminator at the front, he has Zola right there behind him. And there's the other thing, Zola may be on harder tires, but Zola is now in a position where he can stretch these hards out a while, and once he gets around Gallminator, Zola can try and just nurse the hards as far as he can, and then come in late for a late race stop to get soft tires on and go for fastest lap point.
Yeah, he could indeed.
Also, here's the other thing, in the pit stops, and this is very crucial, Schumacher, while he was behind Meerkat on the track in pit stops, the Ferrari camp got them in and out faster because the McLarens basically had to double stack. Because of that, Schumacher now ahead of Meerkat on track. Now, we know the Ferrari is capable in dirty air. We don't know how capable the McLaren is going to be in dirty air. Because every single race we've had, with the exception of Silverstone, we have seen the McLarens up front dominating with no dirty air. This is the first time we're actually seeing Herbago having to deal with dirty air. We know that the McLarens run extremely, extremely low wings. I'm hearing numbers as low as 2 in the front and 0 in the rear for today. So with that in mind, I'm not saying he can't do it because Herbago has, I believe, some of the best talent in the grid. He's on fresher tires, but that aero wake is really going to hamper the car's ability here. And considering you can't overtake very well here, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how quickly Herbago can fly through the grid. Okay,
100%, yeah.
Counterpoint though, McLaren's great straight line speed. So if he can just be a little bit faster than someone else coming out of the corner, there's a possibility that Herbagen can pull up alongside any of the drivers ahead and just kind of, you know, deny the apex of the corner to them and just beat them on acceleration out of the subsequent corner. All right, so Galminator leads. Zola is in second.
Zola
How does Galminator back up the
That's
field?
Crazy. It's crazy. He's gone all the way from nearly last all the way up to all the way up.
All right, through the final chicane. When does Galminator go? Galminator is on softer tires, but they have a lot more wear on them than Zola. Zola lays on the ERS immediately out of the chicane. So does Zola, so does Galminator. Books does it. Everyone pretty much down the grid is going to lay on the ERS until you get down to 8th position there. Herbago already right there behind the Mercedes of Books and kind of held up by him as they run downhill. Schumacher didn't have as great of a start, but he's closing in on the straight. Herbago needs to be careful here through Al Rouge Radion.
Yeah.
He's going to keep it together. He's laying on the ERS, 90%, 89. He's laying hard on the ERS. He goes to the outside of the Mercedes. And you can see just the sheer straight line speed advantage that the McLaren has. Yeah, Schumacher goes to the inside of him, of Books, and he's by as well. So Herbago can't get clear of the Ferrari yet, but Herbago has enough straight line speed that he doesn't have to worry too much about aero weight compromising him. Galminator chops down on Zola. I don't know what is in Galminator. He's got something up his rear end because he has been driving extremely poorly and extremely dirty today. Look at it. He misses the corner to swerve in front of the track to deny Zola the corner, and he nearly took both of them out. What are you doing? I know you're better than this.
Through. He also lets Herbago through. They're now side by side.
But watch him not. He's not gonna let. I don't think he's gonna let Schumacher through, considering how aggressively he was messing with him earlier. No, he's not letting Herbago through either. He's still fighting aggressively with Herbago and denying it to Herbago.
Keeps the position for now.
And Zola is now getting a chance to scoot away, so this brings a little bit of hope into the championship fight. Herbago is not using ERS on this straightaway, and because of that, Galminator is pulling away. Now Herbago lays on the ERS 82, 83% as they come through that bend. As they go, they're back up the ERS. I think Herbago is going to try and outrun Galminator on the back straight, like what he did to Books. Speaking of which, Books is falling backwards through the grid quickly. Galminator, I've seen him drive better than this. I don't know what's going on right now. I know he can do better than this. But now Zola is not scooting away nearly as much. And here comes Herbago, tries to catch him on the exit of turn number 1. Can't put the power down well enough though. Galminator accelerates out. Herbago lays on the ERS again. Yellow flag farther back. That's Dave having an incident in sector 1. First, second, third, fourth, all on top of each other. Herbago still laying on the ERS, 67%. There's no DRS that he can use, but here's the thing, Galminator has speed on Zola. He looks to the inside of Zola at the end of the straight. Side by side for a lead once again. Is he going to commit to it? No, he's not able to.
Quite.
And again, Herbago gets locked on the outside line, and Schumacher is able to close back in on his championship rival.
Unbelievable. The Zola lead.
And now Herbago is let by. Galminator runs Schumacher nearly off the track there. Schumacher just barely able to keep on the circuit, but he's by. Herbago and Schumacher are dead even on ERS at the moment, and now Herbago has to run down Zola as quickly as he can.
And now he's lost out to Mantic.
Now gets by Galminator.
And he'll probably lose out to Books as well sooner rather than later. I think it might be time to start going into the pitch, you know.
Plummeting downward through the grid now is Galminator. He may have burned up his tires way too aggressively, running those super bizarro lines.
I think so as well.
Herbago now has 15% more ERS than Schumacher at the moment. But now we're going to see DRS start coming into play, so we could see some extreme straight line speeds going down the back straightaway here, because Herbago, with almost no rear wing and no front wing, and DRS and draft and ERS down the main straight, I'm just going to go ahead and say we could see speeds up to 216 miles an hour. Galminator has had an accident farther back trying to come in the pits, but he will make it in. So So Zola, how aggressively does he try to keep Herbago behind him? Zola's been very defeatist with this championship over the last few weeks. Oh wow, Zola had a perfect line through there, but it doesn't matter. Herbago is just so much faster. He's already late on the ERS. Now he's in the DRS zone. 206 miles an hour, 210. The numbers are climbing and they're climbing fast. Look at this. At the end of the straightaway, it's going to be 213 for Herbago. And Schumacher got by Zola as well. So Schumacher is not letting the McLaren get past yet. The problem is now the McLaren is in clean air, and this is where the McLaren specializes the most.
Indeed.
So now, how aggressively does Zola keep Mantic Meerkat behind him? Also of note, Books is still in 5th position on medium tires for the moment. I imagine he'll probably pit in the next few laps and jump onto another set of mediums, because again, Books started on hard, so he can go medium, and be on faster tires towards the end part of this race. Schumacher gets right behind Herbago in Sector 2, but in the straightaways it doesn't matter, and Higgs Boston has had an accident. Higgs Boston has had a giant accident. And that will be a yellow flag.
Unbelievable. Oh dear. Oh dear. We're halfway through the race at least.
Yeah, I'm not able to invite Higgs Boston in. Oh, and Schumacher is pitting. Oh, this could be interesting. Zola's pitting. Everyone is pitting except for your race leader, Herbago.
Yeah, no, he's staying out then.
Plastic glove? Yeah, plastic. Yeah, Herbago is staying out, so I don't know what the strategy is here for Herbago. Everyone else is jumping on mediums to the end. Herbago is going to be on worn hards. This is not going to go well.
Nah, it's going to be really awkward, isn't it? Dear, oh dear.
Yeah, everyone, I think the only person who's not going to pit is going to be Culminator, and that's only because he pitted just before this. Books put on, I think Books is out medium tires. They put on the hard tires that he started the race on with.
Yeah.
So, granted, this will still give Books a small advantage. The last 2 laps of this race now, he'll have a very slight tire advantage, but yeah, this has significantly upended the race. Because now, yes, it's still McLaren first, Ferrari second, but now Herbago is on way older and harder tires compared to Schumacher.
He is,
now, granted,
I mean,
I don't know. It's going to get really interesting because this is...
His tires are 5 laps old, he can get to the end, but Schumacher's tires are the quicker tire, so it's just kind of one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah. And the other thing to consider is that, again, it is believed that Herbago may have made a strategy miscue and the car may be significantly overfilled with fuel, and Schumacher, no such issues on his end. Also, Herbago, again, very, very low aero. This is going to be great in the straight lines, but all this is doing is just further increasing Schumacher's ability in the corners. We've seen Schumacher 3 times already make overtakes in corners, where you're not supposed to normally be able to do that. So Herbago has to run a very defensive-focused race now and just kind of block off Schumacher anywhere he can. Schumacher has to be on the extreme offense because he doesn't have what it takes to be faster in a straight line than the McLaren, but he's going to be so much faster in the corners. To make an American football comparison, this is a perfect example of an extreme offense team versus an extreme defense team going at it against each other. Hopefully everything stays clean to the end, because I really, really am excited to see how this goes down to the end.
Yeah, it's going to be good, innit? Whatever happens, it's going to be fun, as long as it's nothing dirty, obviously. So Herbago.
And then also, I do want to say this one more time. Zola, 3rd position. Not great. This just barely keeps his championship hopes on life support. But if something does happen in the front 2, that could be great windfall for him.
Oh, 100%. I think if you're Zola, you're taking a podium here. You would take a podium. The other 2 ahead are way too quick for the tier. No offense to the other guys. But yeah, anything happens between those 2, it's Zola who's gonna be good.
Farther back down the grid, I want to give credit to Plastic Love as well. Plastic involved in that lap one shenanigans between Gallminator and Schumacher, and it really hurt him, set him back. He has recovered up into 6th at this point in the race. He is on fresh medium tires, the driver ahead. Books is on relatively fresh hard tires, so I think Plastic might see another top 5 finish in the cards here. Plastic has absolutely blossomed in the last month or so, has been putting on great runs at Montreal. He put on a great podium run last week at Hungaroring. I think he may be on the run to a great recovery drive today as well.
Yeah, I think he will. He's currently 6th. He's doing well. He's doing well for himself. Let's see how he can. There's a lot of stuff to keep an eye on now. What with the top 2 and Zola and Plastic and even Dave at the back, you know, we've seen him playing well.
Yeah, the Alfa Romeo drivers as a whole, Dave being the main one, have had some outstandingly great runs in qualifying over the last few races. Their ability to bring it home in the race hasn't been so good, but if they can just convert that qualifying pace to finishes, it would be wonderful. And I think for right now, this may be Dave's chance at doing it. Yeah, he's 10th, dead last out of the 10 drivers still running, but we're past the halfway point. I do think that there's a chance that Dave can make something happen here.
Hopefully these, there we go, safety car is coming in. We're going to see them racing once more.
Yeah, in Herbago's defense, there will be 2 laps with no DRS, so that will be his best chance to try and run away. The counterpoint, though, is that there's no number 2 driver who's right behind willing to back Schumacher up and keep him away. So Schumacher, he'll definitely lose time on the straights, but he's going to be flying back through in the corners, and Zola is going to be right there at 3rd with the perfect bird's eye view of everything. I really hope the man has brought home some good popcorn for this.
Well, I hope so. Right.
Wow, Zola really did not have a good run out of the final chicane. The top 2 have already broken away, nearly 2/3 of a second ahead. Herbago hasn't even touched his ERS yet. He's already back to 100 as he gets into the chicane. Not chicane, I'm sorry, the hairpin. Now on the run downhill. Now we see Herbago start laying on the ERS, trying to open up the gap against Schumacher. Gallminator and Imperium have had instance on the start, and that will drop him right back to the back of the grid.
Plastic up to 5th as well on the restart.
Top 2 laying on their ERS down the straightaway. Schumacher within 1/3 of a second, but he can't seem to get any closer than that.
Late braking from Schumacher. He gets close. He's right up him. Had to actually brake there to not go into the back of him.
Yeah, Schumacher has so much more pace in the corners, it's incredible. But Herbago has the straight line speed advantage. And Zola is still right there in 3rd, watching them as they go at it. Meerkat in 4th is actually is there as well. Zola, I think, is just kind of being, you know, a little bit respectable, defensive, not really trying to do anything crazy here. Yellow flag, and that's Meerkat who's had an incident. Meerkat has spun out of 4th position, and that will drop him down to 8th, 9th, maybe even 10th. Herbago. 87% ERS as he comes out of Sector 2, and I imagine he'll start laying on it again to try and maximize his advantage in the straights. Yes, he does. He just puts on a spurt of it. Just a spurt of the ERS to stay ahead of the Ferrari. So now Herbago has an advantage over the Ferrari in the ERS zone because as they come to the braking, look at that, 83% under braking, 86% under braking. So Herbago has an ERS advantage. Schumacher is going to have a DRS advantage, but that doesn't kick in until lap 16. Oh, but look at this Schumacher, just in that final chicane alone, he closes back down to within a 5th of a second.
Crazy.
Herbago has more ERS though. He does not lay on it too aggressively. Into Al Rouge, into Radion again. 80%. He's laying on. Zola with a time penalty. He can't keep pace with these leaders. 73%, 70% for Herbago. Schumacher within a fifth of a second at this closest point, but not willing to make a move down the straight. But Schumacher right now is matching the McLaren on the straight without DRS. Then what will he be able to do when he does have DRS?
Who knows? I think with DRS, Schumacher might have this.
The rest of the field is pretty much spread out. There are roughly second gaps throughout the rest of the field. The fight is at the front.
Yeah. Who knows?
Remember, going all the way back to 2000, the situation was reversed. It was a Ferrari in front and a McLaren in second. It was Schumacher versus Mika Häkkinen. The two of them were having an incredible fight throughout that entire race. And the closing laps, they came up on a lap car. Schumacher took the proper wide line around it, while Mika Häkkinen took a straight line speed and let them be side by side as they came out of the back straightaway. Häkkinen ended up taking that position and the win. Could we see an inversion of that today?
Oh, I don't know. Right, so they're coming up to the final corner, so DRS next lap. It'll be after Eau Rouge where we will see what happens. But remember,
no DRS
Zola will
on
have
the
DRS
front straight
as well.
this time. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Zola will have DRS, but yeah, Herbago has just set the fastest lap of the race, but Schumacher is still within a fifth of a second of him. This is going to be incredible. Herbago still has more
Zola,
ERS. Herbago has roughly 5% more ERS than Schumacher at the moment. Here we go, down the straight, DRS in favor for the Ferrari. He's already within a quarter of a second, laying it down. McLaren trying to defend, he's within a tenth of a second. He goes to the outside, side by side, contact, they make contact, and Herbago's around in front of Schumacher.
What?
And Zola is gonna not quite get it, but Herbago spins out in front of Schumacher. They made contact twice going down under braking, and the lower downforce setup that the McLarens have mean that they could not get away with that contact. And Herbago has now fallen to 7th position on worn hard tires, and Schumacher now leads. The question now, does Schumacher have wing damage? Because if he has wing damage, this could turn into a windfall for Zola. And look who is in 3rd position again. It's Plastic Love.
Yeah, Plastic in 3rd. We'll have to have another look at that at the contact, but I'm not sure right now, even if anyone is at fault, because obviously Herbago was the one who spun. But as it stands right now, this is looking like a really, really good day for Schumacher and Zola.
Farther back in 3rd position, Plastic Love is trying to keep XXX Books behind him. Love has a tire advantage for now. He got by Books on the restart race easily, but in the last 2 laps of this race, we're anticipating that Books will have the tire advantage over Plastic. So this fight for the final podium step is not over yet. Zola trying to keep in with Schumacher, but Schumacher is scooting away. He might be out of DRS range. I don't know. Zola lays on the ERS. 40% going down the straight here. Sector 1 incident. That's Agony who has had an accident coming out of turn number 1. Oh, very nearly backs it into Imperium and Golminator.
Zola doesn't actually have DRS
back up into 6th. Yeah, Zola out of DRS zone. Schumacher,
Books, however.
50's not. Yeah, oh, yeah, there we are. Books has got DRS. I didn't think it would be this lap. I thought he would wait another lap, but no, Books is already by Plastic Love. Oh, no, and Books spins.
No.
I jinxed it. And he spins out of the podium positions. And then, but all these mistakes are working out well for Herbago, because now Herbago's back up into 5th.
He is, yeah. He's back into 5th.
But now this also, and look at Dave. We talked about Dave earlier. He restarted 10th. He's 4th now. Now, I don't think he's going to hold 4th. I believe that both Herbago and Books behind him are fast enough that they'll be able to either overtake him or get back by him on time penalties. But Dave finally putting down the performance and the speed that we know that he has. Herbago's right there behind Dave, very aggressive on him, and he's going to go ahead, overtake with no DRS. He's just laying. Herbago is using up all the ERS on the straights just so that way he can clear everybody. Herbago trying to minimize that damage as much as he can. Again, I was riding on board with Schumacher as it happened, just because of where the TV cameras were. And going down the back straightaway, Herbago was out in front. Schumacher was right behind him. As they went down the back straightaway, Herbago moved to a more middle to inside line down the backstretch, about halfway down. Schumacher saw that. He went ahead and went to the outside. So Schumacher was going to take the longer, harder way around the McLaren. However, that also would have compromised the McLaren's entry into the corner at the end of the back straightaway. So what Herbago did to try and counter that is he moved back out towards the outside a bit, squeezed Schumacher just a bit. I don't know if they made contact. The thing is, that means that kind of upset the McLaren, and with their very, very low downforce setup, it made it really, really hard to keep control of that car, especially if it's overfueled like we think it is, and especially if it's on way too old tires like we know it is. And we saw that, I can't guarantee if there was contact between them, but the McLaren kind of put himself in a position where one mistake would have spiraled out of control. That's exactly what happened. Big credit to both Schumacher and Zola. Neither of them hit the McLaren as he was right there in the middle of the racing line. Alright, so Plastic Love is in third right now, but here comes Herbago flying to try and catch him.
Yeah, and Buck's only 1.5 tenths behind. Golminator.
Still, although it's been a very, very rough race, and Golminator continues to just kind of chop people off going into the corners, he is likely to finish this race, though, and that would be great for Golminator, who has been having nothing short of a rough point stay this entire season, pretty much.
Yeah, now Herbago.
All right, here comes Herbago. Yeah. Right there behind Plastic Love, makes contact, and he makes contact and ends up maybe hurting himself. Yeah, he nearly spun twice there, once going into the final corner, once coming out of it. He's still right there behind Plastic. We know that Herbago's faster than Plastic, but I think Herbago is kind of driving. Oh, wow, look at that, totally sideways out of the final corner. Yeah, Herbago is completely overtaxing these tires right now because now Dave is coming back into the fray. Yeah, Dave is going to have DRS on Herbago, so if Herbago makes another mistake going down into the back straightaway, this isn't going to look good. But look at the speed, 210, 211. Yeah, Plastic's going to defend on the outside. Herbago sends it.
See, Herbago doesn't need to do anything silly, like sending it in like that on the previous lap. All he needs to do is wait.
Oh my goodness, look at that though. He is so slow in the corners, and Plastic is already right there. Plastic is actually making moves in the corners against the McLaren. The McLaren's tires are just that bad. The McLaren has totally destroyed his tires, and Plastic Love is fighting an amazing drive. He is not a championship contender, and he is taking the fight to the fastest man in the series. I cannot believe this.
I mean,
I kind of feel bad for Herbago because we know Herbago can do better than this. He shouldn't be in this fight. But Plastic Love is absolutely accomplishing things that we did not expect him to be able to at the start of the season.
Exactly. Look where.
Oh, and he's off into the dirt, and that's it.
I was going to say, look where Plastic was a couple of seasons ago on the last game with the amount of DNS he had. Now look at him in 4th place fighting the McLaren for a podium position. It's so good to see the improvement being made by drivers.
All right, it's 3 laps to go right now. Herbago is 9 seconds out from Zola. Now, Zola does have a time penalty. Is Herbago going to try and run fast enough to catch Zola and overtake his time penalty? Because here's the thing, Plastic is still there. Plastic, although he's almost out of ERS compared to Herbago, Plastic is not letting Herbago get away, and if Herbago makes any more mistakes, instant farther back. And that is Imperium and Eggity, who have had an accident. Eggity's going to come into the pit, so I think Eggity's going to go for fastest lap point here.
So it's all right. It's guaranteed points anyway, so it's not the end of the world being at the back.
All right, so now Plastic Love finds himself under attack from Dave. Dave has DRS and ERS, but he activated the DRS a little bit too late and could not get alongside the Williams, but that will pretty much take Plastic Love out of the fight for third. So Herbago looks like he'll lock up third position as long as these tires make it to the end. Now, he's put a lot of wear on these tires. He's missed a lot of corners, slid out, hasn't had a spin outright. But I think Herbago is going to try and do his best to maybe try and run down Zola here.
Yeah, he's not.
He's 9 seconds out, but
he's probably not going to happen now, is it?
Yeah, but I don't know. Herbago sees that Zola has a time penalty of 3 seconds.
Yeah, but he's still got to find.
I don't think it's gonna
seconds.
happen. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen, but I would not be surprised if Herbago absolutely laid it down to try and do it. Farther back, look at this fight though. Gallminator ahead of Books and Mantic Meerkat. Gallminator on hards, Books on hards, Meerkat's on worn mediums. And look at this, Gallminator misses the corner, and look at Books! Books showing some real veterans move, taking advantage, and look at the Alpine runs really wide, drag race, and Meerkat's faster than both of them, but there's nowhere for him to go! They're side by side, Gallminator finally gets by Books! But this is not over yet. Oh, and Plastic Glove gets a time penalty, and here comes Meerkat now. Meerkat's gonna try and go around the outside, going into the braking zone. Books is gonna defend. Meerkat goes really deep. And he doesn't quite get it. But Meerkat does get him on the exit of the corner, so Meerkat up in the 7th. Now he sets its sight on Gallminator in 6th.
And now Zola has DRS on Schumacher. He's getting closer, getting closer, getting closer. But can't quite get close enough. The gap is less than half a second with 2 laps to go.
Big thing is, though, that Schumacher has no time penalty. Zola does. But yeah, Zola has absolutely pulled some pace out, and Schumacher is fading in this closing stages of the race. Did Schumacher also overtax his tires early on? Again, Schumacher was fighting really aggressively against Herbago in those first 3 laps, while Zola was just kind of hanging out behind, not really doing anything. Oh yeah, Zola is there. Zola is behind Schumacher and is very aggressive on him now. Schumacher has a lot more ERS though, and he lays it down on this straight here to try and get away from Zola. Well, this is closer to the battle that I was expecting at the start of the season. I thought for the title fight it would be Schumacher versus Zola most of the year. This is kind of what I was expecting we would see. Yeah, it's changed now. Now Zola is the outsider, and Schumacher is the man trying as hard as he can to play defense. Meerkat has just gotten another time penalty. He has gotten by Gallminator, but it's come at a cost of another time penalty, and Gallminator is flying back. It is the white flag lap. Here comes Gallminator. He looks to the inside, will not commit to it, and Books is now there once again. Gallminator really upsetting Books. I think Books, I thought Schumacher might be upset with Gallminator. I think Books is going to be the one who's really going to be upset with Gallminator today. Yeah. Zola just within DRS range as they go down the back straightaway for the final time. But Zola is just about out of ERS. Schumacher still has an ERS advantage. So as long as the lead Ferrari doesn't make anything wrong happen, he'll bring it home. Herbago is 7.2 seconds out from Zola. So he is not close enough to capitalize on Zola at the moment. But this fight for 6 is not over yet. Meerkat has Gallminator right behind. Does Gallminator do anything crazy at the end of the straight? Yes, he does, but can't commit to it. Oh, wow, Books is right there. Books is right there. Gallminator steps wide. Drag race down the hill now. Books is out of ERS, though. Gallminator still has a little bit, and Gallminator will use that to beat Books to the line.
Yeah,
but
got
Books
the
is
inside.
through the corner, and Books is through. Veteran move there by Books.
Nice. Good stuff, good stuff.
At the front, Zola is a third of a second behind Schumacher. He'll have one more chance to make a Hail Mary move if he so wants to. That would be going into the final chicane. Zola is laying on the ERS.
Problem is, even if he gets past, he's got to get the 3 seconds gap, which I don't think he's going to be able to do now, to be honest.
Meerkat's pulled away from Books, and Books is pulled away from Gallminator in that fight farther back. At the end, as they come out of the final corner, Schumacher took pole, was involved in a lap 1, turn 1 accident, but will recover and take home a fascinating victory at Spa-Francorchamps. Zola will come across the line 2nd, and Herbago will come across the line in 3rd. Dave, look at this man. Dave, XRL Dave is going to finish with a 4th place finish.
Lovely.
Outstanding job on his part. Plastic Glove will come home with a 5th place. Mantic Meerkat will come home 6th. Books 7th. No, Books Books had fewer time penalties, so Books actually finishes 6th. Meerkat 7th. Gallminator will come home in 8th. Imperium will be 9th. And Eggity will come home 10th. I'm curious to see if Eggity will get fastest lap points or not, though. Because at the moment, Herbago has the fastest lap, but could Eggity steal it at the end here?
Oh, well.
Nope.
Not now.
So much for that.
Oh, he's got to be careful, actually, not to DNF. Just get to the line.
Well, it's the last corner, so he's guaranteed a finishing position.
And there we are. Good stuff, good stuff.
So Zola will claw back a handful of points back on Herbago in the championship fight. And Schumacher will extend his lead now critically over his title rival, something that he desperately needed.
Indeed.
In the Manufacturers' Championship, though, I think the advantage is still McLaren because both McLarens still finished in this race, one in 7th and one in 3rd, so I think they will still take home more points overall. I'm going to try and talk with our podium drivers here while we can. Also, I really want to talk with Dave as well, and Plastic if it's possible, because those two put on some incredible runs as well today. All right, coming into the party right now is your race winner, Schumacher SF7. Schumacher, go ahead, include your audio. You started on the pole position, but from lap 1, turn 1, this was a fight. What do you have to say about that run today? Schumacher, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
All right, yeah, go ahead, make sure your audio is included. Yeah. You got the pole position, but from the start, that was a rough race. What do you have to say about that run today?
I can't speak about it too much, but a McLaren hit me up my backside and spun me in T1, and then going. I just had to get my head down and drive the car, which I did, and yeah, it felt good. It felt good to have a bit of downforce on the car because the back end went stepping out like crazy. So yeah, good.
All right, do you have anything you want to say about that climatic fight on the back straightaway between yourself and Herbago?
I'll say this, because I've got to be careful because of Stewart and Gordon.
Yeah, be very careful.
We were side by side, and we banged wheels a couple of times, and I had more downforce on the car. That's all I'm going to say on that.
All right, well, that's similar to what it seemed like was the case on my end here in the broadcast booth. But still, great job on the victory here. This will help extend your points lead just a little bit. Towards
the end of the race, I saw Herbago was catching Zola, so I backed off and tried to give Zola some DRS. So that's why.
All right, so we know who you'd rather fight. So you obviously know who you would rather fight then in the championship fight. All right, that makes sense. Fair enough. Still, great job on the finish, mate. It's a shame it wasn't double finishing for the Ferrari drivers, but great job on the victory.
My teammate knows that he would have finished high up, but unfortunately he crashed. But it's nothing bad about him. He just had a bad luck. But we'll come back next week. So I don't know what track is next week. I can't remember.
Netherlands.
It's the Dutch.
So there's going to be 2 Ferraris in the wall there because I hate that track. So, but yeah, thank you very much.
All right, well, that's the word from Schumacher. Now we're going to talk to our second place finisher, XRO Zola. Zola, you had a perfect front seat to that crazy fight, and in the end, you walked out here with a very good second place finish. What do you have to say about your run today?
Well, I was the only one that actually got damaged from turn 1.
Wow.
From that crash with Schumacher, I think it was Herbago. I'm not saying who it was. I think it was. I was the only car to get damaged in that. I was the inside car, and I lost my front wing because I went inside of Schumacher. So I was the only car to get damaged from that. It's boxed onto hards, and then the safety car, the 2 safety cars saved my race. But so thank you, Higgs, and whoever else died. Who was the one that died first?
Busy.
Oh yeah, so Flavor and Higgs, thank you very much, guys. Thank you. You helped me out massively. The thing is, though, like the 3 laps before that, he wasn't catching me. He only started catching me the penultimate lap, but my tyres were on 65, so the tyres were done. So yeah, it was going to catch me like that. I didn't think, but I also saved all my air after the last 2 laps just to make sure. So I just made I emptied my battery just to make sure I was debut. Anyway, so but yeah, so I was happy. I went from I should have qualified higher. I invalidated a 44.5 in quali. Again, I keep doing that, and so I should have been 3rd on the grid. So I was in 5th. Went from 5th to last, brought it back, safety car come, so I went, what to go, I went 5th to last, then went, and then I lapped 6 cars in 2 laps, sorry, so I got up to 6th, safety car comes out, everyone boxed because it was their pit stop, so I went up to 2nd, and then went around, then you guys say, Rabago, Schumacher passed me, and then the next safety car came out, then and then I went up to mediums to the end. And so I just basically had avoided. The only thing I did do wrong in that race, well, I didn't do wrong, but I literally, when the Bargo spun or whatever with Schumacher and out at the top of the hill after Camel Straight, I had to go across the track. I cut the track, but I lost 4 seconds doing that to plastic behind me doing that. So technically, I didn't get a penalty for the game, and I lost time doing it. So. And I did let Schumacher back in front.
All right, well, fantastic drive. Out of curiosity, Zola, do you think this puts you back into championship contention at all?
No, it's the fights between Rabago and Schumacher. My fight's with that other one,
right.
Mantic.
All right, well, I thought it was worth asking. So
my
I know you're really.
I know
you're really downer on this, but I really would like to see you properly fight for this.
The start of the season, I said straight away, as soon as I seen Rabago's pace, he should have won this championship easily. No offense to Schumacher, but he should have won it easily. If he raced every race, he would have done. Hands down. Hands down. He's the fastest guy in here by a lot. And the reason he didn't win this race today is that second sector. Too much time. Him and Mantic both lost about 8 to 9 tenths in that second sector every lap because of the wings were too low. That's why they're so quick for, is because they run the lowest downforce as possible. So they're rockets in their straight that get to a technical part, they'll be in trouble. They'll be in trouble in the Netherlands if they try and do that again. The middle sector will kill them. Up the hill, yeah.
Well, either way, though, Zola, it was a fantastic drive from you, befitting of your own legacy within XRL. Hopefully, we get to see you pull off something similar to this again next week, mate.
Well, I love Netherlands.
And now I want to go ahead. There are 2 more people I want to talk to. When it comes to driver of the day, there are a lot of contenders, but I've really got to talk to these guys. Dave, you came home in 4th position. Fantastic drive. On that final restart, you were dead last, 10th, and you come home in 4th position. Go ahead and include your audio. What do you have to say about your run today, mate?
It was a good wee race. I just tried to stay clean, stay out of trouble, drive around the accidents, and just put in consistent lap times. It was a good battle then with plastic. I knew if I could get ahead of him, I could just dump my LS in the straights to just keep ahead, because I think he's running low wings too. I knew through sector 2 I'd be fine, but it was really good to finish off. Good to be back up in the top 4 again.
Pretty much, no one hit him. That's how it happened.
Yeah, I didn't get active, which also helped.
All right, so Dave, we've known for a long part of this season that in that Alfa Romeo car, you've had some great single lap pace. You've put on some great qualifying runs. You finally backed that up with a great finish. Do you think you can make this a trend to the end of the season, coming home with these great finishes?
I hope so. But my main goal is to beat my teammate and beat Flavour. If I can beat those 2 by the end of the season, then I'll be happy.
All right, well, great job, mate, on that finish. Absolutely outstanding. You have every right to be proud. And then one more person I want to talk to, Plastic Love. Plastic, a 5th place finish in a 13-car grid doesn't seem like it would be a whole lot to write home about, but we saw you were, along with Schumacher, you were the only other person able to take a fight directly to the fastest man this entire season. Granted, you kind of fade near the end there, but make sure your audio is included. What do you have to say about that incredible fight that you had? Again, you had to recover from a lap 1 accident. So what do you have to say about your run today?
With the 2 accidents, can't really do much. I mean, they know who they are. They know what they did. They just got to keep going. And then I got Schumachered back in Hungary by the AlphaTauri, so that wasn't really nice. And then I think I should have been fighting for the podium way earlier than I started, but yeah, towards the end, Sector 3 was just killing me. I had no pace there.
Yeah. The thing is that final sector is that corner before the straight. That last one, if you don't get it, the back end seems to step out. So if you can get that corner right, you'll gain like 3 or 4 tenths down that straight. But you get it wrong, you lose like half a second.
Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah.
It's probably the worst corner of the track. Where Flavor died, that's the corner. He definitely died at the right corner.
Another race for the DNF though. Result?
I mean, I'll take a P5, top 5. I'm fine with it.
Well, compared to last season, I think just finishing is an improvement.
I'm just happy to be here.
So you're a lot better this year, so well done, man.
Yeah, I feel bad.
Yeah, man, a lot better than you were. I mean, if I was saying on the stream, if you think back to a couple of seasons ago when you were DNF in nearly every race, and now you're fighting at one point fighting for a podium,
Don't worry, Booby's replaced you. It's fine.
Someone's got to carry the legacy. So.
With him is only there.
All right, well, with that in mind, once again, great job to both Plastic Love and to XRL Dave on their incredible, unexpected, but outright incredible 4th and 5th place finishes. X3 has really kind of turned into its own really unique situation because we have a very defined top 2 drivers at the front. But then outside of that, the people who come home 3rd and back, every single race seems to be almost completely, not random, but completely different. You almost never know who's actually going to properly come home 3rd, 4th, 5th on down in this season. It's been great despite the fact that we have a relatively small grid. So
under the pit stop, before that last safety car, the order we were in, I reckon is the order we're going to finish championship in. That is the fastest people in that order. In my opinion, is pace difference between us. Maybe swap me and Mantic around, but that's your top 4 fastest. And then I think from 4th backwards is a pickup.
Well, the big thing with Meerkat, though, is that Meerkat spun out, and although he did recover some positions, he gained a lot of time penalties in the process. And that's the thing, if Meerkat continues to want to run defense for the McLarens, it's going to kind of hurt his ability to be able to properly capitalize on his pace. Like for you, Zola, I know in the manufacturers... in sheer pace, I think Meerkat probably has you nicked. But if Meerkat's... but if Meerkat's compromising his races and he makes any mistakes, then I think you have him. I don't know. It'll be close. It'll be interesting to see going to the end for sure.
Yeah, then you took a look at the constructors. By the way, I'm 3rd in the constructors on my own. I've had a teammate for 3 races. For 3 races, I've had a teammate in 13 races. And I'm 3rd, so there you go. I carry Red Bull like a
Showing off.
All right. Well, either way, with that in mind, this will pretty much wrap up our broadcast here. I don't know if there's going to be a broadcaster for the X2 race later today because that's going to be ran at the same time as the Euro soccer game, Euro football game.
England against England. Yeah. There is no stream. Yeah.
So good luck. If you want to catch what happens there, you're going to have to ride on board with someone's onboard camera,
Ryan
I guess.
Hurricane will be streaming. Well, before he crashes,
go ahead and follow Ryan. Yeah, go ahead and follow Ryan Hurricane then, I guess. I would recommend you follow him to kind of get an idea of what the race is going to turn out as. But with that in mind, I've been your host, InsaneLear13. I was joined in the broadcast booth by XL Shakari. I do want to say thanks again for jumping in and sharing the broadcast booth with me. We will see you again next week as XRL descends onto the Dutch GP. There's going to be a lot of orange smoke in the air, like there's a crazy chemical fire going on. But we'll look forward to seeing you then. Until then, farewell and goodbye.